Dozonegashimasu. Hey guys, it's Kihon Nathan Ogden again here with Tengoku-Ryu Karate Kobujutsu. And today in this video, we're going to go through our second set of Kihon Waza, or basic techniques that we do regularly in class and are part of your basic techniques for rank promotion. So we're going to get right into this, and I'm going to demonstrate, like I did in the previous kata, 3 of them moving forward, and then we're going to do an explanation of the details of the technique. So the first 3 techniques are going to be blocks. The next set of techniques will be strikes, and then lastly we're going to be doing kicks. And this is set 2 of our Kihon Waza. So the first technique that we're going to do is what's called crossbody block, or some styles refer to as inside block or inner block. Now, the way that we do this is a little different than most styles. A lot of styles in karate will bring the hand out and come across the body. Now, I want to say that it's not that we don't ever perform the technique that way, but in just the general practice of the form itself of the technique, for Kihon purposes, ours is a little different. It's more direct and to the point. It comes from the chamber. From here, it comes straight across. And you'll see that, and I'll explain the reasons why we do that once I've demonstrated the technique a few times. So I'm going to step back and show you how we demonstrate this in class as we're doing it together. So from here, we step back into Shiza Zenkatsu, or short forward stance, and we're going to perform 3 of these techniques. Ich, ni, san. Okay, so as we do this technique, there's a few things that you'll want to be aware of. Number 1, as this comes across, it's going to shoot straight across your body, staying close to your body. You can hear and see that I'm rubbing against my body. As I come across, my elbow wants to be right in line with my solar plexus. There's a reason for this. Obviously, I'm blocking, but I'm also dropping if there's an attack coming from the bottom. This is a cover. I'm also blocking from side to side. And I'm also learning how to trap against my body. So as I mentioned earlier in our previous techniques, every technique that you do and the way that you do it, the form of it, has multiple applications. It's not just a block, it's not just a strike. It can be a trap, it can be a control, it can be a lock, it can be a throw. So as you learn more applications of the individual movements and how they're applied, you'll begin to see this and understand why we do the techniques the way that we do. The fist is in alignment with the outside shoulder. So as I come across, I want my fist to be in alignment with my shoulder, but I want my elbow to be in alignment with the center of my body. As I come across, as I exchange, my hands just change positions like this. And you'll notice as I start putting my hips into that, there's also power added. So this is what we call crossbody block, or often referred to as inside block or inner block. Now, the next one we're going to do is a reverse outside middle block. The middle block that we demonstrated before in a previous video is done in this manner with 1 bone. It's called a single bone block. This is also called a single bone block, but it's a reversed outside, or soto chudanuki, middle little block. And it's turned over this way, just like you were riding on a motorcycle, handlebars, think of it that way. And I'm going to demonstrate 3 of those, and then I'll go over the details for this particular technique as well. Ich, ni, san. Okay, let's look at the details of that. Again, as we did with the previous outside block, when we fold, our hand comes from chamber position to the elbow. Again, I'm going to come across like I'm holding a microphone. My fist is in this position, not this position, but in this position. Come here, And just like the previous outside block, I'm going to slide up the arm and turn like I'm filleting it. as I turn, I'm going to not turn this direction, but I'm going to turn the opposite direction. So as I come here, you think about filleting it this way with the palm facing away. So from here, I'm turning outward, rising up, coming across, stopping in line with my shoulder. The other hand comes to the chamber. Again, I come across, I slide up, turn the hand over, this hand comes back, and like so. Again, one more time, just like so. And this is a reverse outside block, or a reverse single bone outside block. All right, now this next block is probably one of the more difficult techniques for beginners. This is Shuto Uki Uchi. I call it Shuto Uki. It's oftentimes called Shuto Uki only, but it's actually both a block and a strike. So we call it Shuto Uki Uchi. And the way that we perform this is a little different than other styles, but the form and the function, there's a lot of variations in the function versus the form. But the form kind of sets you up, again, just like the previous techniques, the movements in it set you up to learn other applications. So let me step back and demonstrate this, and then I'll go over the details. Ich, ni, san. Okay, let's look at the details. So, Shuto Uki Uchi. Some styles block to the shoulder. The hand will be more this way, or here, or even higher. Ours is more on the center line. And you'll notice from the side view, when you see my hand pulled back, this bone is protruding, and all of the muscles here are very tight. So it's like I'm pushing. It's like I'm pushing forward. The other hand is in a position that's right here. Now, most people want to lay it flat on the body. We don't lay it flat on the body. The arm is touching the body, but my hand actually has about a fist distance here away from my body. So when I'm in position and this hand is in front and this hand is here, my fingertips on this hand are pointing relatively to my elbow of my leading hand. So you can kind of see from the side position, my fingertips are almost pointing in that to a kind of slanting position to my elbow. Now, when I exchange, the easiest way to tell you how to do this in the exchange is when we change our position, this hand's going to come straight back towards the center of the body, kind of keeping the hand there as a check, as a control, as a block, as a parry. The other hand that's here, the fingertips are going to slightly touch the elbow, and I'm going to come across my body, not straight out, not straight up, but kind of at a 45-degree angle, and no more than shoulder height. No more than shoulder height. So looking at that from the side, you can see my hand is relative. If I brought it straight back, it would be right to my shoulder. So from here, this hand comes back towards the center of my body. This hand comes across, and the elbow touches the fingertips. From here, my hand is going to turn and cut. Turn and cut, and then push. And this hand will come straight back to where that it's resting slightly here, but about a fist distance away here. And then it'll be in the center of my body. If you look at the where my fingers are in my hand, my leading hand, you're going to be looking just slightly over the fingertips like a gun sight. So my fingertips are in line with my nose almost. From the side, you can kind of see that my fingertips here are in line with this. Now, a lot of people say, well, why don't you block to the outside? Because this technique and a lot of our techniques, most of our techniques, are always done off the line of attack. And what you'll learn as you progress is that your rear hand is doing a lot of the blocking, and this movement here is actually a block. So as I do the position, there's actually part of my block and strike. And these are hidden movements. I kind of demonstrated some of this in the high block in the last video, but as you see this, you'll see that this technique is one of the hidden techniques that's within that. So if I think about the way that I'm doing my Shuto Uchi or Shuto Uki Uchi, it would be in this manner. So here's my block, here's my strike. As a punch is coming in, it's here, and then shooting straight into the target. So that's part of the reason why we do this on the center line and why it's a little different. So again, one more time, from here, the hand comes back, arm goes across at a 45-degree angle relative to my shoulder, and then it cuts and turns to the center line, and this hand pulls back into a palm up position. And that is Shuto Uke Uchi. Now, the next technique that I want to do for you is a spear hand strike. Now, spear hand strikes have a lot of different myths surrounding them, thinking that you're running your hand through somebody's throat or you're running it through their body, urban legends, things of that nature. The way that we teach spear hand is a lot different than that. This is more of a control rather than a driving strike. It's more of a control, but it's also designed to be a penetration. So a lot of times you'll see, especially in MMA and grappling, you'll see underhooks, or you'll see overhooks, these kinds of movements. This is what primarily we teach Nukite as our spear hand. And then this particular one we're going to do horizontal. We do horizontal where the hand is flat here, and then we do vertical, which is just a variation. We practice both. This one here is done in this manner, and it's more of a control. And I'll explain the technique after demonstrating. So coming back, starting here, Nukite, ich, ni, san. Okay? Now, again, think of Nukite as a control. This is to the eyes, but primarily you're going into eminences and fossas and places in the body that have tender nerve areas. Under the arm, the brachial area, starting here, to the suprasternal notch here, going in, digging in, around the collarbone, down into those areas. These are meant more to be like control in the use of like kusho techniques or kusho waza, which are striking vital areas or sensitive nerve areas, vascular areas of the body. So we use the fingertips because it's more concentrated in a small surface area, and you really can penetrate and get in there and hit those areas where there may be nerves or vessels underneath tissue, even into like the throat or the sternocleidomastoid muscle, things of that nature, reaching in to penetrate to get a grab. That also helps. So there's pushing in and then grabbing, which is part of the application of the technique. But again, this is done just simply, we just aim for the sake of form, we aim at the throat. And it comes straight out, fingertips open, they stiffen, and they go straight in to this area right here for the sake of practice. And this is our Nukite horizontal position. Okay, so the next technique that we're going to do is part of the three kicking exercises that we do in set 2. The first one is called a front oblique kick, and this is kind of like a front snap kick, but it's a little different in the sense that instead of kicking straight on, we're going to kick at a kind of a lateral angle. And this is designed to attack the leg from the inside or to attack into the hips. And actually this kick is used quite a bit on the ground. So if you're on your back and a person is trying to mount you, this is used to keep them off of you, to control them, and to actually help change them. If you do any kind of groundwork at all, you'll know what I'm talking about. This is also good if you're in close grappling. If somebody has reached in and grabbed you close, you can use this to kind of break away, to break their stance, to help create space, and different applications in that manner. So I'm going to demonstrate just a few of those, and then we'll talk a little bit more about it. So again, when we do our kicking techniques, generally we're in a parallel stance, Hegodachi. We have the hands up in a ready position. So this comes up like a front snap kick again to this position, but then we kind of kick across ourselves and down. So it's boom, this, and you're kind of extending your hips as you do that. So again, and then one more time, coming up, and then boom, extending that. And again, this is a kick that it doesn't have a lot of power high, but it's really not meant to be a kick that's demonstrated much above the waist. This is really to attack the legs, to attack the knee joint, to attack the pelvic area, to break your balance and to help you really control your opponent when you're in close. If you're in close grabbing and you're grappling, or you've hooked it when you're using techniques that are relative to Tugumi, what we call Tugumi wrestling. If you're in close and you want to move this person, you can use this to kind of open a person up in this manner. So from the side, if I were clinched with someone, I can bring this up and then down in that manner, not kicking so much straight ahead like we did in the demonstration, but I can kick coming here, almost putting the foot into this notch in the flank area and then just driving down. So it's a very effective kick for creating space or breaking your opponent's posture or their stance and their balance. Okay, next kick, everybody in the world knows this one, easy to do. It's front knee thrust. Now when we do this, a lot of styles, they will practice knee and they'll come right here and stop, just like a front kick. They'll come here and stop. When we practice this, we want to bring the knee up as high as we can, like we're doing high knees. Because generally speaking, when most people start striking into a bag or whatever else, they develop this habit of just stopping here. But you want to try to go all the way through your opponent. So imagine splitting your opponent from here to here with your knee. So like a front thrust kick, you want the hips to kind of, the pelvic region to kind of tilt, but you want to drive up as hard as you can. So we're going to demonstrate about 3 of these and talk about the application a little bit. So again, when we're here, hands are up, because at this point we're talking about clinching, we're talking about grabbing, we're talking about underhooking, overhooking, those kinds of things. So again, hands here, come straight up the middle, each, knee, and then some. Pretty self-explanatory. Now, there are variations of how to do a knee strike. They can come across the body in this manner. They can come straight up. They can come straight in. So you can vary the technique, but this is how the form is done in basic application for in-class exercises. Okay, the last one we're going to do is back kick, or shirogeri. Now, a lot of styles kick really high, and this is not a spinning back. I like to call this old man karate kick, as one of my senseis called it. This is old man karate, and being that I'm pushing close to 50 now, I'm getting up where I consider myself doing old man karate. But old man karate is good for young man too. So as we do this technique, we practice it from musubidachi, or tension stance, or V stance, and we kick straight behind us. Now, this kick is not meant to kick into the chest or kick to the head. It's meant to kick into the extremities and into the pelvic region. And generally speaking, if someone has grabbed you, you see this in later kata, where you see these kinds of movements, where we step here, like in Seisan kata when we demonstrate this particular technique, and then we're here. This movement is actually hidden in the kata. So I'm breaking out. If somebody has grabbed me from behind, I'm stepping off, disaligning my shoulders to help break their grip, coming up, breaking out, okay? And then the next movement would be here and back kick to follow up with that. So this is kind of one application shown in the kata where it's hidden, but we're doing that oshiro geri, or back kick. So again, practicing in class, we come to attention, and then we alternate left and right, and we kick straight behind us. And you're not wanting to look first to telegraph. You're going to look as you kick. So the leg comes up to the front like a front snap kick, and then as it goes back, boom, and pulls back in. From the side, it's going to look like this. So as I come up, and then back and down. And again, the idea here is to kick with the heel, with this part of the foot, and pull your toes forward so that you kick only with the heel, the hardest part of the foot, and you're kicking into the legs, into the knees, into the pubic symphysis, into the pelvic region to kind of drive a person back to break their stance. Now, if you're more flexible and you can kick higher, that's perfectly fine. The more you turn your upper body with this particular kick, the higher that you can get. The danger in that is that the more you turn your body, the more you have a tendency to want to bring your leg to the outside, which opens up your groin. If you'll notice the way that we do this kick, my leg comes up, and you can see my thighs are rubbing. And the reason why we do that is because it protects my groin. The shortest amount of time possible between having an opening where my groin is and it being protective is very small versus bringing the leg out in this manner and fear of having my kick caught and then a kick to my groin. So it's like a mule, kicking like a mule or like a cow, straight behind you. So again, this is Shirogeri, and this is the last technique of set 2 for our Kihon Waza. So I hope that this helps you, this video helps you to get through those and to practice those at home. どうもありがとうございました。